Hello everyone, welcome to Conjunctions in Astrology. We're looking at the Sun in conjunction to Venus in your chart. It's quite a common conjunction, but it has quite serious implications. What does it mean for your destiny? And also sign and house placements. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below, and if the video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. Let's begin. First point though, do you actually have a conjunction of the Sun and Venus in your chart? You may think you do, but you may not have. A conjunction in the ancient Vedic system is about planets being in the same sign together, because a sign equals a house. So, if two or more planets are in the same sign, no matter how far apart they are by degree, they are in conjunction. But if one planet is 29 degrees of one sign, let's say, and the other planet at 0 of the next sign, that's not a conjunction, even though they are only 1 degree apart in space, because they are in different signs, therefore different houses, with a completely different lord. Another point to consider is the nakshatra. If planets are in a different nakshatra but in the same sign, are they still forming conjunction? Most definitely they are, because the nakshatra just gives them an internal experience, but they're still in the same sign, they're still sharing the experience of that house, and they are still in a conjunction. So if you have Venus and the Sun in the same sidereal sign, you definitely have a conjunction of these two planets. Be careful, it's a very common conjunction and has to be judged very carefully according to the position and degree even of the planets. I'll talk about that in a minute. First of all, let's look at the energies involved. And who is the Sun? The Sun, known as Surya, is actually called Ravi as he travels around the zodiac. He represents the light of our life. He is the actual life giver, because without the Sun, there is no existence at all. He represents a spiritual self in every living being and the supreme in our chart. So the Sun connects us to great spiritual wisdom, but he is actually a very dharmic and sattvic planet. If we do not follow dharma, righteous action, the Sun can be most punishing. And the one thing that the Sun cares about more than anything else is truth. Being truthful, being honest, being authentic, being absolutely trustworthy. These are the things the Sun demands, and he will reward. On a material level, as he travels through the zodiac, he shows us how we will actually get resources. He brings wealth into our life as well as spiritual wisdom. He's also a lot to do with the health of our body and the vitality of our mind itself. The Sun and the Moon are actually friends to each other. He represents government. He represents all authority figures in our chart, and definitely the father. And who is Venus? Venus is known as Sukra in the Vedic system. He is a demigod in charge of all the enjoyments and the luxuries of this material existence. He can give many skills, particularly artistry skills, music, singing, dancing, and he rules all of these factors in our life, things which make us relaxed and happy. Primary purpose is to bring human beings together, though, for one most important thing: reproduction. Yes, his number one job description is to actually ensure propagation of the species. And Venus can bring wealth as well, but it is about wealth for the extra luxuries of life, not for the basic necessities. The Sun and Venus have come together then in your chart. They're forming a conjunction. Is this favorable or not? Well, actually, I have to tell you the truth here. It's more troubling than you would think when you would read standard astrological texts, particularly Western astrology. They'll not tell you or even hint to you at the deep difficulty that can be there with the Sun-Venus conjunction, which you definitely need to know about. The first difficulty is that they are dire enemies to each other. Simply, they do not like each other. The Sun does not want to be near to Venus, and Venus does not want to get fried up, basically, because he is Jalatattva, water, in the fire of the Sun. Fire, water, planets together like this is a Gandanta effect. It's emotionally disturbing. Let's face it, Venus is never far away in transit from the Sun, so it's very common to have the Sun and Venus in the same sign together. How do you judge potency of this effect? When it is a combustion, and a combustion effect, you will hear many different ways to judge. Let me give you the two things you must see. Firstly, the degree of closeness, and secondly, who is ahead. Because Venus is the faster planet, we primarily want to see Venus behind the Sun for a combustion, no matter what degree apart. So, Sun should have higher degree than Venus for a true combustion, because we are concerned to see what karmas are ripening in this lifetime. When Venus is ahead of the Sun, they are lessening karmas. They are coming from a past situation which is finished. You may see residue results, but it's not about what is ripening. And it's a fairly wide orb as well. I would say even within 14 degrees, if, say, Sun is 14 degrees ahead of Venus in the same sign, it's still a combustion. Obviously, closer they get, the more fried Venus is becoming, up to an exact conjunction. Let me give you examples. Say you've got the Sun at 20 degrees of any sign, and you've got Venus at 16 degrees. It is definitely a combustion, because Venus is behind the Sun, approaching the Sun within 4 degrees. It's a very strong combustion. But then again, if you have the Sun at 20 degrees of any sign and Venus is 24 degrees ahead of the Sun, it's not a true combustion, actually. It's a different effect. With that in mind, knowing that a true combustion of the Sun and Venus will definitely give you some of the more difficult effect, let's just look generally at the effects of this Sun-Venus conjunction, no matter how they are situated in a sign. For everybody with this Sun-Venus, Venus is the art, Venus is the dance, is the skill, is the drama, is the music, is the entertainment of life. And being with the Sun, your soul has a deep connection to these factors. The arts in all their form attract people who have this Venus-Sun conjunction. And early on in life, you may have skill here, or you may attempt to learn skill in music, art, dance, drama, all of these things. But will you continue with the skill? How successful will the skill be for you in life? Depends on other aspects and sign. Particularly when there is combustion, though, you may not continue with the skill, or it may not work out as you planned. Now, the Sun brings wealth, resources. Venus is money itself, used for your pleasure in life. So Sun, Venus very often, unless it is very afflicted, can bring wealth into your life. But here's the thing, what do you do with it? A badly placed by sign, combust, and malefic aspect, you may lose a lot of money, waste a lot of money, not use it wisely. However, certain ascendants benefit from this Sun-Venus conjunction. It can form a Lakshmi-Narayan yoga, bringing wealth into your life, definitely. Which ascendants are they? Aries rising, Taurus, and Aquarius rising. Of course, the amount of wealth, how you receive the wealth, depends on other conjoining grahas, aspects, and the sign. But it is generally a fortunate effect in money matters for these ascendants. Sun represents our ego, how we plant our ego into the world, how we see ourselves, what we do in our life, how we are seen by others. So Sun-Venus gives tremendous charisma. This can be good for many careers where you are in public eye, definitely. You see, Sun-Venus, no matter what you do in your career, can actually draw people to you, supporters to you, helpers to you, and give you fans, followers. You can become popular in your career area if it is well aspected, well placed. It's a good conjunction for politicians, obviously drawing people along with you. You have a certain charisma, as I say, which makes people want to listen to you. And it's very good for actors, actresses, people in any design sort of work, artistic work, musicians, all of these careers. But the more difficult factor about this Sun-Venus is itself is centered on pleasure Venus, and this is a problem. When it is badly placed by sign, when there is just one malefic aspect, it can become a very selfish aspect. Everything is about the self. Everything is about promoting pleasure, ease for the self. It's something that you have to take a little time thinking about, because most people don't want to think of themselves as being selfish. It isn't even conscious sometimes. And this is one of the reasons why the Sun-Venus conjunction can be very challenging in intimate relationships. It's difficult male chart, particularly because Venus is the wife. Nearer it is to the sun, there is challenge here. Sometimes wife can be very egotistical, demanding, or you can be that. It's really hard to say who it is. Very often I've seen it's both people. There's an ego clash. It's hard to find compromise. But more than that, Venus's sexuality, desire, nature, intimacy, sexual intercourse with the sun, it's being burned up, but it is being increased. So what's going to happen is, very strong sexual desire nature by this sun Venus. There can be many love affairs depending on position in your chart. The closer to combustion, though, all of these love affairs are just burning out fast and quick. And even deeper than that, sun is your spiritual development. Check the video on my channel, Sun Karma's All Signs. It's so important. But Venus being near to the sun, spiritual development can be spoiled by relationship or sexuality factors in some charts. Overall then, Sun-Venus conjunction, especially combustion, is difficult in intimate relationships. It doesn't mean you can't be happily married. Get a good long-term relationship. You must see 7th house, 7th lord for more detail. But generally, Sun-Venus will give difficulty, sometimes divorce, separation. There is need for compromise, and it has to be made. It has to be worked on for the relationship to continue. Sun, of course, represents father in the chart. Being with Venus, father can have history of many love affairs, can even be a sort of playboy person occasionally in a chart. The thing is, father is a happy-go-lucky, pleasant person to be with. Very often, he can be someone who is very much fun when you are a child. Sometimes that can be seen, but there can be difficulties when this Sun-Venus is afflicted in your relationship with your father. In a female chart, Venus is about reproduction, particularly with the sun. There can be some difficulty, pregnancies, having children again, especially when it is combust and there is affliction. Finally, sun is health. With Venus, there can be urinary system problems, lower back problem, kidney problems, and even problems with the feet occasionally. Let's look at signs, everybody, of the Venus-Sun conjunction, starting with the fire signs, that is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Now, in these signs, the sun is strong in every single sign. Exalted Aries, own sign, Leo, strong in Sagittarius. Therefore, this can help the sun to overcome some of the negative effects in time. But because the sun is so strong, ego can be strong, impulsivity is strong, and Venus becomes very passionate in all of these signs. So combust, many impulsive decisions, relationship, infatuations, strong desire nature, but it can be high idealism as well. But generally, there's a passion, there's an impulsivity that affects relationships deeply. So different in the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Here the sun is not so strong. Venus is of medium strength. Strong Taurus, that's for sure. Not strong Virgo, medium in Capricorn. Basically, impulsivity, passionate nature gets toned down a little bit here. But there can be relationship, ego conflicts over monetary affairs, money factors that can be seen. And generally, it can be fairly good for money, for making money, keeping it, and working practically with it. Afflicted, combust, sudden loss of wealth can be seen. In the 3 air signs, that's in Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, a very active social life, many friends, many acquaintances, many love affairs, particularly Gemini, Aquarius, generally even Libra, by the way, although it's a little more stable there. Generally, in these air signs, you are definitely looking for who you are associating with. Sometimes you can be drawn into bad company under a combustion in these air signs. In Libra, where the sun becomes debilitated, there's more compromise. There's more willingness to, let's say, let go of ego, because ego is not so strong. This can actually help relationships if it is not too afflicted. Many dramas will be there when you have Sun, Venus in the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Venus is mightily strong here. So much emotion, so much high sexuality, desire, nature, but the sun is not so strong. Approaching combustion in both Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, all of the signs there can be trust issues in relationships, particularly Cancer and in Scorpio. There can be manipulative factors, Scorpio, definitely. There can be high critical nature, Pisces, very much idealistic relationship-wise, and Cancer, many family children issues can be there. So in all of these water signs, high emotion connected to relationships can bring some instability. Of course, in Pisces, Venus is exalted. So Venus must bring the sun into a state of spiritual compassion. Compassionate relationships, charity, helping others takes Venus onto another level. Now the houses, it's powerful when you have Sun, Venus in the 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th Kendra. It's going to affect your whole destiny. In the 1st house, the sun is rising. You are charismatic, powerful. Venus gives you attractiveness, charisma. What a powerful effect you can have on other people when you have Sun, Venus in the 1st house of your chart. But when they are very strongly combust, sometimes it doesn't always work in your favor, or it just blows up in your face if you try too hard to have power over others. You see, Sun and Venus opposite to the 7th house. It can be a little bit selfish. 1st house. It can be too much emphasis on the self and self-enjoyment and pleasure for the self rather than in the relationship. In the 4th house, Sun is weak and Venus is strong, but you are dedicated to your family, dedicated to your home, wanting to make domestic situation beautiful, comfortable, and you will definitely give so much energy into your family and your domestic life. But the closer to combustion, relationship with spouse in the home can become challenging. Ego issues in the home, difficulties, and even working from home can become challenging when you have Sun, Venus, 4th house, even though you actually desire to do it. But well aspected, not too close to combustion, you can have many profits from your property, buying, selling, whatever, and certainly from landed interest. In the 7th house, Sun, Venus, you put a real emphasis on relationships. They can take over your life completely. Sometimes, depending on signs, Sun is strong here. You want to take control. You want to dominate relationship. But sometimes Venus won't allow you to do so. So there's always a conflict, always an ego issue in the relationship, even if you try to avoid it. In the 10th house, you can have difficulties career because you are charismatic, but you may have enemies there, people who don't like your success. See, Sun is Digbala here, strong, but Venus is not so strong. You can have love affairs, sexual attractions in the office space, workspace, and this can be very challenging, especially in combustion. Sun, Venus, 2nd house, you can have great charisma through your speaking voice. Even singing voice can be good. You can have musical ability here, Sun, Venus, 2nd house. But there can be great extravagance if it is combust and it is afflicted in your financial spending. You can save up a lot of money and then completely blow it all from time to time. Check ascendants definitely, and don't forget, you want security by this Sun, Venus, 2nd house. It can be challenging to have Sun, Venus, especially in a combustion 3rd, 6th, 11th, even in the 11th house. Why? Because the Sun is not truly happy in these Upachaya houses. He's a dharmic planet. These are actually houses of desire and willfulness. Media personalities can definitely benefit Sun, Venus, 3rd house, charisma, etc. in your communication. But are you being misunderstood? Venus doesn't like to be in this aggressive 3rd house. He doesn't have that power. So there can be many love affairs, flirtations, difficulty finding intimacy in a satisfactory way with the partner. Relationships can become unstable by the Sun, Venus, 3rd house. In the 6th house, many relationships, conflicts, misunderstandings will definitely be there. Sometimes even divorce is shown because Venus is in the house of divorce. But you have to see 7th house Lord. But you have healing power here, ability to definitely overcome sickness, help other people, serve other people. Medical skill may be there. In the 11th house, there's a big push for gain income, and you can have opportunities through your network circles, friendship circles. But Sun Venus combustion here, friendships just blow up over time, just completely evaporate and are completely gone. Job can also completely go overnight. But despite the instability, Sun Venus 11th house gives you enormous creativity to find new doors opening to you, new ways to make income always come. Sun Venus, tremendous charisma and artistic ability in the 5-9 houses, trine houses. 5th house, artistic skill, charisma, creativity is at a very high level. Combust, though, sometimes you can go over the top and lose it here. You can not know what to do with the skill, even though it is there. One thing for sure, Sun, Venus, 5 and 9, you love to learn. Learning is an enormous pleasure for you. But once again, combustion, affliction, you can just change the course overnight because you get quickly bored. Many successful teachers, lecturers have this Sun, Venus, 5th or the 9th house. Tremendous ability to get the knowledge and push the knowledge forward. Tremendous charisma, tremendous ability to gain fans, students who support you. In the 9th house, there can be many love affairs, foreign lands, or connections to people from foreign lands relationship-wise. There can be difficulties with the father, though, if this Sun, Venus has got affliction, 9th house. In the 2 Dustana houses, 8th and 12th, you've got to lift this Venus up to the highest possible level of purity for this aspect to work. In the 8th house, tremendous interest in occult study, hidden mysteries, astrology, very, very strong talent here as well. You are prepared to undergo transformation frequently, to just change your life completely into a new state, and very often you will be forced to do so. Combust, there can be many financial crises, Sun, Venus, 8th house, but also enormous profit business-wise. It depends on the aspects totally. That's the thing. Sun, Venus, you are always going to start from the beginning and rise up again. And that includes relationships. Many relationships crisis here as well. You should watch joint finance with your spouse very, very carefully if you have Sun, Venus combust in the 8th house. It's a house of medicine as well as astrology. So Sun, Venus, 8th house, medical workers, surgeons, crisis workers can actually do well with this. Once you overcome some deep-seated insecurities, you can help others. 12th house, Sun has become Marikastana, weakened, but Venus is very strong. It's a contradiction here. Ego has to be forgone in relationships. If you do this, you can have satisfactory relationships. If not, it's an endless conflict, one that you can never win. But you can find satisfactory relationships once you overcome this ego issue. You are here to get connected to many spiritual wisdoms here, to a deep connection to serving others, serving society. Venus is its absolute most compassionate in this 12th house. Do not lose this. Sun, Venus is a spiritual opportunity for you in the 12th house. Check the deep karmas of the Sun by sign and Venus by sign also. They're up on your screen right now. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. Goodbye for now. God bless you all.